Thank you, Chair, and welcome, Commissioner, and welcome, Council. It's always good to see you back. I guess the first concern that I have is I'm quite astonished of the commentary from my colleague, Ms. Khalid, in terms of her interpretation of a demand for documents as saw fit by a majority of members of Parliament. And as you will agree with me, I'm sure, Mr. Commissioner, that Parliament is supreme. Committees are supreme. And we can just about order anything we want unfettered. Absolutely. In fact, the House of Commons top lawyer basically affirmed that position, that documentation needed to be produced to get to the bottom of yet another scandal by this corrupted Liberal government under Justin Trudeau. So perhaps Ms. Khalid needs to be informed that simply obtaining documents and forwarding those documents to the RCMP is not and never would be seen to be interference. It aids in their investigation. She is somehow suggesting, wrongly and deliberately wrongly, that by asking and furnishing documents to the RCMP, we are directing an outcome, which you know, Commissioner, is completely ridiculous. The RCMP are completely independent and are unfettered in their decision to lay charges or not. You'd agree with that?
Yeah.
Regardless of what Parliament said, regardless of what Justin Trudeau may have said, they have that final discretion. So Ms. Khalid needs to be educated on the powers that the RCMP actually have. But a broader concern I have is this. Really, why are you here, Commissioner? As much as I enjoy listening to you and listening to your counsel, you were selected and you were chosen to come here by the Liberal Party. And right out of the gate, they asked you questions about your mandate as if they didn't even know why you were here. As we well know, and you can confirm, Commissioner, there's at least a dozen other investigations into this Arrive scam scandal, including the Auditor General and the RCMP and numerous colleagues of your level, various commissioners, actually examining this scandal. Why weren't they here today? But they chose you. You made it clear to this committee earlier this year that you have no mandate with respect to the Arrive scam, do you?
I don't. And my opening statement today made that absolutely clear.
Made it abundantly clear. So this is now twice you've made it clear you have no mandate, yet the Liberals wasted this committee time and wasted your time, sir, from doing the good work that you are obviously doing throughout the year. How much time do I have?
Mr. Brock, just to hold, I want to just push you back in your lane. The witness is here, the invitation of the full committee. So I appreciate you're welcome to raise his relevance, but he is a committee witness. So just to nudge back in, if you could, on that. There are no
certainly.
Yeah, I appreciate you've got a minute 45 left.
Okay, so let's get to your report, the Verschuren report. We've heard from my colleague, Mr. Perkins, that she somehow benefited from the decision making that she either made or abstained on voting but not recusing herself, upwards to $10 million. You found her guilty of breaching two aspects of the Act. I want to know, and I'm sure Canadians watching this want to know, what is the penalty for her?
The penalty for her is, as the Act provides right now, basically exposure.
Sorry?
Exposure.
Exposure.
Yeah, you know, if you
want,
you had a conflict of interest. If we expose it, you get it certified. It does damage to your reputation. That's how the Act works. The Act does not have any penalties, except for minor penalties on reporting things, and the consequences are. To obviously, if the person who appointed her, she has resigned, but if not, for instance, one option it would have been for the government to ask her to resign, etc. If they felt the breach that we pointed out was severe enough, etc. As my colleague pointed out, we went through every single vote of hers. So these allegations that are here that she supposedly voted on issues of up to $200 million to the benefit of her, etc. As I say, we looked at every vote that she did, and she recused herself when required. At least that's the evidence, Michael, if you want to elaborate on that. But so the whole focus was the emergency votes. That's what Mr. Barrett's letter asked me to look at, and we looked at. In the process, we also looked at votes that she did with regard to incubators, and we found that she violated. She should have recused herself, not abstaining, because there's no provision for abstaining in the Act, except if you're a member of Parliament voting something on a minister. So here we find it is the whole process is essentially, if you want to put it bluntly, is we investigate, we expose, and to some extent we do damage to your reputation. That's all we can do. The person who appointed, we're talking about a reporting public office holder, whoever appointed them can decide if they want to do other actions.
Meanwhile, the
I'm
taxpayer is owed
afraid that
$10
is the
million.
time.
I'll start by saying I'm on behalf of the Conservative Party, I'm just so sorry that we have offended Ms. Shanahan in our job in terms of holding this government to account and discovering and exposing corruption at the highest level. So if that's offensive to her, well, then so be it. That's our job. Commissioner, the issue regarding Randy Boissonnault, I appreciate you've only reviewed the actual newspaper story of the report. You didn't actually listen to the committee. You didn't read the transcript. Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Are you prepared to do that, given some of the concerns that have now been raised?
As I mentioned to you, I mean, the report, Mr.
Just yes or no, sir.
Look, I'm concerned because he admitted he lied.
Right.
He also, there are these emails that have emerged that use Randy 7 times, etc.
He was also supposed to provide us, sir, he was also supposed to provide the committee with additional emails, additional documentation, and actually the identity of the person that he claimed was auto-corrected 9 times. And he failed to comply with that order of committee. Does that concern you?
Yeah, of course. We hope it concerns you too, because we are talking about parliamentary process here, not my investigation.
And it would be naive for all of us to only conclude that what you received from Minister Randy Boissonnault were all the devices that he had access to. He could have accessed a burner phone that he never supplied to you. He could have used another communication app that he never supplied to you. You agree with me, sir, that there are still ways of communication that he did not supply to you. That is possible, is it not?
You are assuming here basically quasi-criminal behavior. I'm going on this. I just first of all want the evidence. Once I have the evidence,
do you believe there are burner phones out there?
Of course there are burner phones.
And do you believe there are other communication apps other than Signal and WhatsApp?
I just answered the question to your colleague. I said for any kind of information, let me have the response from Mr. Boissonnault, and then I will decide whether they are credible and sufficient, or whether I need any more evidence. And then,
Thank you. Hypothetical. Assuming you conclude that Minister Randy Boissonnault has breached the Act, what are the consequences to him? Very briefly.
If first of all, I would have to begin an investigation. If the investigation comes to that, I make a public report and I send it to the Prime Minister. It's up to the Prime Minister to decide what to do.
You're at half, Mr.